Okay, welcome back to class. Today we're going to be introducing CSS, and we're going to see how it works. Now, CSS, what's CSS? CSS is the language we use to style a web page. Remember that we've done every of the HTML concepts, and if you still need more knowledge on HTML, you can still go on check some videos on YouTube, or also you can check my video channel because this class would also be posted there, so you can go through it again and again on the web page. So CSS is the language we use to style a web page. Once you've created your web page, that's through the HTML, it is CSS that gives you this styling, this beautification that you see on the background, on the text itself, on different concepts. It's the CSS. So we've just been saying CSS. What does CSS stand for? CSS stands for cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheet. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. So it is the CSS that gives you this beautification. It adds flesh to what HTML elements have actually done. Also, CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. So that means you can have multiple web pages that one CSS page can actually control, depending on how you've identified their class or how you've assigned their attributes. That is where attributes is going to be coming in to work to a large extent. And also we have external style sheet are stored in CSS files. Now it means that if you have, remember we talked about 3 ways of including CSS into HTML, which is the inline CSS. We have the embedded CSS, and that's the embedded way, and also the external way. That's inline is also seen as inline style, external and internal styles. Then we have the browser default. So these are concepts with which you can embed. You can include CSS in your HTML. The one we talked about, which is the inline, is the one that has the style background. We've talked about it in our previous class that we had. We put it directly on the anchor that we want. We put directly on the anchor, either the P tag or the H1 tag or thereabout, to put the styling there in. If you want it to have a background, we put the background color and that. Then the one with the embedded is the one with the style in the after the head tag. After the head tag, that's after the opening head tag, we now put the style. That's after the title tag precisely. We now put the style. Then we label it either H1 or thereabout. We have that function that we're going to go through there. Then the beautification comes in at that point. And this is where we also include two concepts, whereby we have the class, that's the class attribute, and the ID attribute. We can have the class attribute and the ID attribute. This will give us this beautification with which you are working on, and it's something that when we display it, it comes out very beautiful. So the third one, which will take us directly to a CSS page now, is the external way. This can be done on CSS file using the link tag. So link tag, that means we're going to be linking the CSS file with HTML file. How do we link the CSS file with HTML file? That is what we're going to be talking about when we go to our video studio. It's just a straight code that would link both of them together, and that will be all. So it means any effect that will be done on the CSS file, any change or any editing that will be done on the CSS file, it would show itself on the HTML file, and that is how it works. So you can have one CSS file to control multiple HTML files, as far as the correct attribute has been laid and things like that. So we are able to see that CSS is used to define styles for your web pages, including the design, layout, and variations in display of different devices and screen size. Also, we use CSS, saves a lot of work. The style definitions are normally saved in external, that's .css file. With an external style sheet file, you can change the look of an entire web page by changing just one file, and that is what we've actually talked about. So now we're going to be talking about the CSS syntax. Remember that the CSS selector is the inline CSS, the embedded, and the external way. So we're going to be talking about the CSS syntax. Remember that when we talk about CSS syntax first, now let's say we have H1. Let's go to this page. Let's go to this page. We want to talk about the yes. Okay, in place of this, why not me use this? Now the CSS syntax, I can have this. Let's say I have H1, my H1. Remember, I have the let's say I have color, separated by column. I have blue, semicolon comes up. If it's separated by semicolon, I can have my font size, 12 pixels, column and this. Okay, now look at my H1 is the selector. H1 is the selector. The color is the color is called the property, and also the blue is actually the value. So the value of the property in a precise selector, and also we have the font size to be selector, and also the 12 pixels to be what a precise value. Selector points to the HTML you want to style. That is what it means. The selector points to the HTML you want to style. So it means that if I write this now, that means I want to excuse me. If I write this now, that means I want to style my H1. I want to style my H1. So if my H1 is to be styled, it will work on this. So, and that color and blue, they are also known as declaration. The font size and 12 pixels are also known as declaration. Declaration in terms of color, declaration in terms of size. That's the text size or whatever I have as far as that portion is concerned. So it's just for me to write the correct property and its value, So that is what the syntax generally is all about. So in our next class, we're going to be talking about the external way. I'm going to be linking my CSS file. I'm going to create a CSS file, and I'm going to be linking it with my HTML file. So you see how it works, and we're going to meet in our next class. Thank you very much.